There are over 75 zombie maps across all the COD games. That is a massive number, to say the very least. And when it comes to the looks of those maps, it says even more when there are those that stand out just by their visuals alone. Now, visuals can be more than just good graphics or textures, but lighting, aesthetics, atmosphere, and color. There are so many elements that make zombie maps look good, and I wanted to try and see what the most visually unique map is across all the games. Because the one that catches your eye and sticks with you is a good example of the devs making these maps feel distinct. Of all the dark and gritty maps in World at War, Verruckt stands out as the one that feels the most intense. Which says a lot considering it's the one taking place when the sun is still up in late afternoon. But even so, it always had a feeling of unease to it. It gave off that late war vibe, where the Germans were losing more and more territory and this asylum, where truly horrible things happened, was left abandoned. And now here you are in this crazy place with rapidly approaching undead, and there's no way out. Verruckt has a reputation for being one of the scariest maps in COD Zombies, and the ambience, color scheme, and the look of the map only adds to that feeling of real horror. Zombies haven't been scary for a long time, but even coming back to it after all these years, this place still gives me the creeps. Zombie maps have mainly been locations where the player seems trapped, where this is somewhere you've gotten stuck in and have to hold out. And Buried has that feeling to an extent that almost no other map has. The concept of an old western town is unique enough, but the novel idea to bury it in its entirety, underground, in Africa, is such a bizarre and memorable combination. The logistics of it be damned, when you have such a distinctive location stuck within dark caves and rock formations, it's like taking something familiar and putting it somewhere unfamiliar. Every place you open, every location of this town you uncover, tells its own little story. From the church, to the secretly dug tunnel under the bank, to the haunted house, and the iconic hedge maze that lies behind it. What Buried does so very well is, despite being an underground map, the way in which the light shines through the cracks of the earth above makes it seem much more bright than it appears, which makes the mining caves much more dark and sinister by comparison. Buried's aesthetic even extends to its HUD, which just adds another visual element that makes this map so memorable. When a map commits to a theme, it can make people remember it for more than just its gameplay features. And Spaceland does that perfectly, taking an amusement park and throwing zombies into it. You have all the stops you'd expect, with rides, gift shops, bumper cars, an arcade, a big mountain, and a roller coaster you can ride, giving you fantastic views of the whole park. Each of the areas in Spaceland have an abundance of color. In spite of how dark the map is, it still feels vibrant. And the great contrast to the workers area under the park gives a nice look behind the curtain. And I think if the map took place during the day, it wouldn't have the same vibe to it. As it is, Spaceland visually is a map that no one that's played it will ever forget. Taking the 30s aesthetic and putting a Cthulhu twist on it may not be the most original idea, but how it's presented cannot be ignored for how much it stands out when you look at all the other maps in BO3. The map has this sort of somber feeling to it during the setup process, with its greenish hue and rainfall, but after the pack is opened, the map feels like it comes alive. The orange filter may be a bit much for some, but it accentuates the art style and aesthetic even more so than before. The Footlight District always popped, not just because of the colors, but the variety in the location compared to the rest of the map. Morgue City feels like a real lived-in location that everything just stopped at, like time froze when the Apothicons began to invade. It can't be ignored how striking the visual language is for this map, as to this day, many call it their favorite map of all time. There have been ship maps and maps with ships on them before, but the ambition, the idea of making the entirety of the Titanic into a zombies map is certainly memorable. Every cabin, every room, every hall feels as if it's one-to-one scale. And it translates to a real-life location almost perfectly being overtaken by the undead. Just the cold, endless feeling you get when you look out into the ocean, it gives such a good scale to the map itself. For as large as the ship is, it's nothing compared to that blue abyss. As unique as the maps I've highlighted are, there's one, however, that truly is one of a kind. One that sent us to such heights that it's almost funny how we've rarely ever been able to reach it in terms of originality and memorable visuals. Moon. And this goes for every version. BO1 with its cold, gray, isolating aesthetic, or BO3 with its more colorful, yet dark atmosphere. The literal leap from Area 51 to Griffin Station is one that no other map possesses. The perspective you get, looking back at the Earth from the moon, is unlike any other. The unsettling halls of the lunar base and the NPD, just looking at this object, being that it's in some cave on the moon, feels like it's something that no one was ever meant to find. Not to mention the most lively place on the map, the Biodome, which is the one thing that the BO3 remaster excelled at over the original. Moon, from a visual, aesthetic, and location standpoint, I believe, is the most memorable map we've ever had. Is it the best in terms of gameplay? No. Does it have the flashiest cutscenes? No. But what it does have is scale. Impressive visuals, iconic moments through its gameplay, and the best ending to a map COD Zombies has ever gotten.